were. And again, at the end, you don't get any synthesis or whatsoever. And now, if you allow me, nonetheless, 5 minutes to quickly conclude, why is this important? Because of our present historical moment. I think that what we should get rid of, if we want seriously to maintain a radical emancipatory political perspective, is what I ironically am tempted to call the Hölderlin paradigm. Hölderlin, you know, the German poet, minor one, Kleist was better, but that's another point. You know his famous line quoted endlessly by Heidegger and others, wo das Gefahr ist, wächst das rettende Au. Where there is danger, the redeeming or solving solution arises also. This reading that today we are approaching some 0 point of extreme danger alienation, but this danger at the same time renders possible the solution. You know, like we have this in Marx clearly. Capitalism as the utter alienation, but at the same time opening up the possibility of collective reappropriation of the alienated substance. Heidegger, forgetting of being, but care, the reversal, emerging it. Even Derrida, I would have said, is in this very strangely. He always emphasized that we are living in the final moment of the metaphysical closure. That, you know, like metaphysical closure is coming to its end, exhausting its possibility, and so on and so on. I think that what we should learn from Hegel is precisely that this entire paradigm is to be dropped. That what Hegel calls reconciliation is not some magic solution, but it's precisely to this reconciliation with the evil, the fall itself, to see how what appears as evil is at the same time the very recourse of our salvation, like what Malcolm X saw. Yes, X, we were terribly, brutally deprived, but this deprivation, depriving us, white slaveholders, of our black roots, gives us a unique possibility of being universal subjects of emancipation, and as it were, beating the whites at their own terrain. So, what also, but this solution is not a now I'm really concluding, is not a cynical one, namely a cynical one in the sense of, yeah, okay, we need fall to redeem ourselves, so we should manipulate or whatever. With this I will conclude. I think rather that if there is a lesson, progressive one, from the ongoing crisis, it's that cynicism doesn't work. I was still surprised how even a guy from whom I would have expected more, my good friend Fred Jameson, again recently repeated that old stupidity that we live in cynical times where ruling ideology no longer takes itself seriously, so we don't even need today critique of ideology. We no longer need that delicate Hegelian conceptual analysis of discerning the inconsistencies, the voids of argumentation. Those in power are brutal. They admit everything more or less openly. We live in post-ideological, cynical times. You will never surprise those in power by demonstrating to them that they are lying, that they are inconsistent, and so on. I think this is maybe the most dangerous illusion that there is. If there is something to be learned from Freud, it is that precisely this type of perverse, cynical openness is at the same time the greatest illusion. You are really in illusion in social, material social life. Not when you are telling some dreaming stories about divine intervention, but precisely when you adopt this cynical attitude, you know, like, fuck it, what ideals? Let's be frank, it's all about money, power, pleasures, whatever. Precisely this type of cynical realism doesn't work. It's you are most blinded. Why? What you don't see is precisely illusions which still regulate your life precisely when you think you are directly, brutally realist. Let's not forget, for example, the crisis of 2008. It was not caused by some crazy welfare state idealists. It was caused precisely by, you know, that Michael Douglas bullshit, that greed is good, cynical realists. Precisely those who think we have no illusions, that's the brutality of life, they err most. This is the big lesson of Hegel. This does not mean life is just a model, we can't do anything, but now I'm really, you see, like, just concluding. I think that what's great in Hegel is that he is a post-eschatological thinker. His problem is not things are bad, but we are there, just push it a little bit and everything will turn around and so on and so on. The greatness of Hegel is that he is a post-apocalyptic thinker, in the sense of we tried it, okay, I don't agree with Hegel here, but his idea is French Revolution. They tried to realize freedom, it went terribly wrong for Hegel, I'm not so sure, like French revolutionary terror. And then his point is precisely to demonstrate how this doesn't mean we were wrong. We should accept the lesson of what for Hegel is the fiasco of French Revolution is simply the openness of history. It's not predetermined, it went wrong, it just means Hegel does compel us to accept a certain basic alienation of social life. But it doesn't, not in the Marxist sense that, oh, irreducibly we are enslaved to some alienated substance, fate, capital, whatever to rule us. No, I think Hegel would have loved the paradox of today, which is the more we are aware of how capitalism relies on our own fictions, on virtual reality and so on. So we are well aware there is no capital in itself mystique. We are playing with our fictions and so on. Precisely when we know fully that there is no substantial metaphysical capital with a capital C, that is just we are fighting with our fictions, the less we are able to dominate it. So there is no big other, but this doesn't mean it's just me. It means that the situation becomes much more non-transparent and so on and so on. So again, I think that the lesson of Hegel, now I'm very short, I will develop more, this is my book, is that the struggle for freedom should go on, but we should just learn to accept its dangers. There is no ontological guarantee. It's a risky struggle. There is no guarantee how it will end. We cannot ever step on our shoulder and control the effects of what we do. So again, I think that's again, this is what we need today. Because again, the thing to avoid today is precisely, I think, this type of cheap cynicism and some kind of globalized pessimism and so on and so on. No, we have to learn to act without ontological guarantee. I had many more things to say, but because of the Greek terror, I stop now. Thank you very much.